It's incredibly overwhelming for your nervous system, for your mental state, to be a Black person in America, honestly.
Dream team, stick together and make history. Golden Wonderland.
Hey everyone, it's Eden. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we're going to be talking about Mexico, why we decided to move, answering all of your questions I asked over on Instagram, or I'll probably put it over here. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you are following me there so that you can participate in future Q&As. So the first question from everyone: why did we decide to move? Why did we decide to move to Mexico? The simplest answer is we needed a break from the United States. It's incredibly overwhelming for your nervous system, for your mental state, to be a Black person in America, honestly. And we wanted a break. Why did we choose Mexico? Mexico wasn't our only option. We thought about going to Australia. The boy has a cousin that plays professional basketball in Australia. We thought it might be nice to be with some of his family there. We thought about Panama, Thailand, but ultimately we decided on Mexico because it's really close to Texas. We can be back to Texas within 3 hours if we absolutely need to, because most of our family's here. And we also had a preference for a primarily brown country over a European country. So that is why we decided on Mexico, at least for our first year abroad as a couple. To be completely honest, this has been in my mind for, I'd say it must be like 4 years. It was back when Eamon and Beck in the Matneys had done their van life tour through Oaxaca and Oaxaca City. And I love the idea of it. I had thought about van life, but I couldn't get the boy to sleep in a car with me. So that's where Mexico is kind of sparked. One of my really good friends, Anaí, she loved Tulum before Tulum became the vacation destination that it is now. And she just talked about how much she loved Mexico. She's practically from Mexico. She lives in El Paso, and you know, a lot of people that live in El Paso may have homes in Mexico as well, because it's right bordering Texas. So we've had lots of in-depth conversations about Mexico. My uncle Miguel, he is building his house in Mexico, in Guanajuato. He's been a part of our family for some time now. He moved to the US when he was 19, learned English. He's a citizen. He's gonna be retiring back in Mexico, where he grew up and lived. I've had a lot of conversations with my uncle about it, and it just seemed like a good first place to live abroad for us. Why did we choose Merida? Because of the beach. It's about 20 minutes from the beach, depending what part of the city you live in, some 30 minutes. And yes, there are other beach towns like Playa del Carmen, Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan. It goes on and on. Mexico has beautiful beaches. We all knew that. Cancun. We didn't want to live anywhere too touristy. And even though the Port of Progreso, which is the closest port and beach to Merida, is a cruise port, it's not a very popular cruise port. So you don't get the constant upcharges, the constant flow of tourists in Progreso that you get in other cities in states that are close to the water. Other places that we thought about in Mexico, this is such a long answer for the first question, but it just needs to be said. We thought about Mexico City. One of my old bosses lives in Mexico City. She's lived there for 6 years. She also travels a lot to Playa del Carmen because she works in hotels. That's where she was my boss when I used to do that back in, I don't know, God knows when. We thought about Querétaro, Puebla, Monterrey, and ultimately decided that Merida would be the best for us. It is warm, but we're from Texas and we're used to the warmth. So that is why we decided on moving to Mexico and how we decided on where we would move. And I'll expand a little bit more on that as well. Any concerns with crime or the cartel? This is a question that I got from family a lot, and I just kind of related it in this way. I'd say this is very similar to someone from the UK or New Zealand asking us, do you feel safe sending your kids to school even though there are school shootings? Do you feel safe going out in Dallas even though all you hear about in the news is sex trafficking? There's crime everywhere you go. No nation is perfect. There is danger and crime everywhere, and you have the responsibility as a person to be vigilant, to keep your head on a swivel, to do your research on areas that you want to live in. And as far as I'm concerned, if I don't have any dealings with the cartel, they don't have any dealings with me. And Merida is, a few years ago, was voted the second safest cities in the Americas, right behind Quebec, Canada. And in recent years, it has slid down between like 5 and 7, depending on what kind of poll you're looking at. And honestly, most times, Merida is on the list and there will be no US cities on the list as far as safety. So it's not really something I'm concerned about. I'm a smart girl, my partner's smart, and we feel very safe there, especially just not encountering police in the same way that we encounter police, especially within Texas. I feel safer with my partner walking around at night than I would ever feel with him being out at night as a black man in Dallas. So we feel safe, and we do our best to stay safe. Not to say that the cartels aren't there. Obviously they are. They have a big presence in lots of other cities, not in Merida, but in other cities. And it's my understanding most times, as unfortunate as it is, when civilians are hurt in relation to the cartel, it's kind of in the crossfire. So it's, like I said, it's unfortunate, but crime happens everywhere. It's the same way that people get caught up here in grocery store shootings, or shootings at concerts, or, you know, that kind of thing. Another question about, aren't I scared with the cartels? No, I am not. What will you do for work? YouTube. I do YouTube. I do private lessons with yoga and things like that. I also do some wellness stuff with WW. So I have a few different streams of income. Of course, I have my sponsorships, Lululemon, Universal Standard, other places that ship abroad, which I'm sure will be expanding more now that I've moved. So I am a digital creator, so I will continue to be a digital creator in Mexico. How's the weather, and will you continue vlogging? Yes, I will continue vlogging. I've been vlogging since I was 19 on YouTube, and I don't see any signs of it stopping anytime soon. Sorry, the dogs are barking. I had to do a little jump cut there. The weather is hot. I'm hot right now, but we sit outside in Merida as well. The only difference is the humidity, because it is a coastal city. And after it rains, it gets very humid. So you definitely sweat more there than you do here, but my skin looked great. My skin is so glowy, and so it was loving the humidity. So it's hot, but manageable, and we have a pool, which is awesome. And yes, we will continue vlogging. What steps did you take to begin the process of moving? We did a lot of research on different cities to narrow down exactly where we wanted to move and what we wanted out of the experience. Like I said, we didn't really want to be in a super touristy place. I think a lot of places in Mexico draw in tourists, but for us it was like, we want to walk around and hear people speaking Spanish. We don't want to hear more like tourists everywhere we go. We want to be immersed in the culture. We want to get to experience all that the Yucatan, which is where we decided to live, has to offer, and get to know a lot about Yucatecans and the Mayan culture. So that was what we did. We did research on the different areas, what it offers, what lifestyle each place was best for. And then after that, it was really important for us to immigrate legally. And Mexico, in lots of parts, you are guaranteed a 6-month tourist visa. Last year they were kind of cracking down on that some, and people were only getting 30 days or 60 days, and we just didn't want to have to deal with that, wondering if we'd get six months at a time. Did I say 60 days before? It's 6 months, 180 days. So we didn't want to rely on the tourist visas or taking advantage of that process, so we decided to go ahead and start our residency process. And that included going to a local consulate to you, so a Mexican consulate in your city or in a city close by. We drove 5 hours to McAllen because Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and New Orleans, none of them had consulate appointments. So we decided to drive down to the bottom of Texas, McAllen's a border town, and do our immigration appointment there. You have to prove economic solvency. So we got together all of the paperwork that the consulate website requires. It gives you a list of everything you need. It's a pretty straightforward process. You go in, they look over everything. They look over your bank statements, your pay stubs, all of that stuff, and then they give you a paper visa inside of your passport. And then you have, from that point, 6 months to enter into Mexico to go to INM, which is the immigration office, to finish the second point in which you get your residency card. I'll go ahead and answer this because it was another question: how long am I able to stay? Once you get temporary residency, your card is valid for 1 year. At that point, you're able to renew for 3 additional years. You do not have to prove financial solvency or anything like that when you renew, but you renew, you pay for 3 more years, and then after that you automatically become a permanent resident of Mexico, which is not the same as a citizen. You're just a permanent resident, and you get most of the same rights as citizens, except for you can't vote. So we will always keep our US citizenship. And I don't know really if we'll be interested in dual citizenship. This is all pretty fresh. We're just gonna go for the year, and then we will renew for the additional 3 years because we would like to have permanent residency in Mexico, just in case, like if we want to buy a home or live there more long term. We just want to make sure that we go ahead and get that renewed. So that was the process: research, getting residency. Those were our 2 main things. What made you want to move? I already answered that. Are you really moving? No, this is all just a joke. Of course we're really moving. Do you see many Black people there? How is being Black in Mexico? Being Black in Mexico is like a huge deep breath, honestly. It's not like being Black at all. It's just like being a person. Sometimes you get looks, but it's because they hear English. You're being a foreigner. It's not that you're being Black in Mexico. So it just feels like you're a person. The Mexican people are incredibly kind and embracing. We speak Spanish as much as possible. There's always someone that wants to practice their English with you or will help you if you're stumbling or whatever. But being Black in Mexico doesn't feel like being Black. It just feels like you're being a person, and it's incredibly like relieving. And like you see the police and they wave, or they will help you or give you directions or help you cross the street, and it's not like you're walking at night as 2 Black people and everyone's staring at you, or everyone's clutching their purse, or people are locking their doors or whatever. It's just like community. People speak to you, they say buenos noches, they ask how you're doing. It's really nice. We see Black people, we were talking about this earlier because I went over these questions with the boy. I'd say every 3 out of 5 times that we go out, we see another Black person. And there are Facebook groups dedicated to being Black abroad. So wherever you want to go, you can type in like expat, which is an expatriate, and then the city or country where you're looking to move. and you'll find those communities. There are 2 specific to Mexico that I'm a part of on Facebook, and one of them is about 4,000 members, and from those 4,000 members, about 1,000 of them are residents. So it's a small group, but there are like little events that they do. Like there was a Juneteenth celebration, and there are different little subgroups that get together. There's walks in the park and stuff like that. So there is a decent Black community where we are in Mexico. Are you going to do a Mexico meetup? I don't know. Maybe I'll host some yoga classes or something like that in Mexico. Maybe I'll do a retreat in Mexico. I haven't decided fully on any of that. No question, just super happy for you both. Thank you. How did you decide on your location? Any safety concerns? Already answered that. Are you able to find grocery items you're used to purchasing? How's the cost of living? So yes and no. The basics, of course, like fruits, veggies, proteins, those kinds of things, yes. Certain brands of like salad dressings and things like that, depending where you're shopping, yes. There are a few different main chains in Merida, like there's a Walmart, and they'll have things like Hunt's tomato sauce or whatever, like things like that. The only things you don't see a lot are like coffee creamer. Like you're not going to see a huge coffee creamer selection. You'll see like the small boxes of Coffee Mate, and then some things are imported. Like I saw like some Califia Farms almond milk creamers and things like that. The selection may not be as big, and you may pay more for it if it's an imported item like that. But for the most part, yes, I'm able still to find like non-fat Greek yogurt, you know, my hot sauces and things like that. I'm able to find all that stuff. The boy's able to find like chips and Oreos and stuff. They do taste a little bit different because Mexico has some different food laws with like corn syrup, GMOs, things like that. So some of the tastes do vary between brands like Doritos and things like that, but you can find them. The cost of living, I think it's really relative. The cost of living can be expensive, especially for locals. For people moving in, I think it's really dependent on your budget. It definitely is lower than the US. Like if you saw my recent house hunting video, I converted the pesos to USD, so compared to what you'd be paying in the US or Canada, it's lower. But I will say inflation is global right now, and when we first started researching moving to Mexico, rent has almost doubled from when we started looking. Merida is seeing a higher inflation rate, I'd say, for housing specifically. And locals have like varying opinions on other things, especially we hung out with a lot of locals, got tours from locals and stuff like that. They say that they see definitely some like prices of tortillas in the past 5 years have definitely doubled, but they said year to year it's been manageable for them. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to speak for locals, I'm just telling you what was communicated to me. But yes, we are paying around $650 US for our 4-bedroom 3-bath home with a pool, but we are also outside of the city. We're not living directly in Merida. Well, we're still in Merida, but we're outside of the city. We're not like inside of the main highway that runs around the city called the Periférico. So we're right outside. So prices tend to be lower outside of the city because it's, you know, a little less convenient to have to drive 15 minutes into the city. But we're not like big party people or anything like that, and we don't mind driving into the city if we need to, or riding into the city if we need to. So yes, more affordable than the US, but I think it just has to be relative to locals and your budget specifically. What are you doing for health insurance? Right now we have a health insurance called Safety Wing. It is for digital nomads. It covers accidental injuries up to 250,000 US dollars, which there's very little that you could do in a country like Mexico, Panama, Thailand, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Belize, where you could reach that maximum. So I have that for both me and the boy. But out of pocket, there are private hospitals in Merida. I haven't had to go to the hospital yet. I will update you guys when I do set some doctor's appointments. I also have to get my wisdom teeth removed, so I will let you know what that ends up costing and what that is like. But from people that we know that live there and just different groups, people to have a doctor either come to their home and to have communication with your doctor through WhatsApp. People are paying anywhere from like $50, $25 to $50 depending on the type of specialist. For CT scans, some people are only paying about $100, and you know what that can cost in the US? It can cost like thousands of dollars. So a lot of the stuff you can for little visits, dermatologist, to get checkups. If you get a stomach bug, you can pay all that stuff out of pocket, and it would be less than your monthly insurance premium that you pay through your job and your copay. It would be way less than that to just pay it out of pocket. But then we do have the safety wing for if anything big happens. If you are a temporary or permanent resident, you also do have the ability to sign up for the local version of like universal healthcare. It's just some paperwork that you have to do, and from like the doctors that have done YouTube videos about it, they say it may not always be the healthcare that you want, but it'll be the healthcare that you need if something big happens. So they always say to sign up for that as a safety net if you decide you want to be in the country long term. So did you have to prove income to get temporary residency? Yes. And how long can you stay? 1 year, and then I can renew for 3 years. Then after that I roll into permanent residency, and you never have to renew or pay again for that. What made you decide on Merida? The climate, proximity to the beach, proximity to international airports, proximity to Belize. It's only a 6-hour bus ride to Belize from Merida. So that was what made us decide on it, and just talking to family and friends that have lived in Mexico or currently live in Mexico helped us decide as well. I already talked about healthcare. Are we buying or renting? We are renting, at least for the first year, till we decide if we like it. Like I said, we may want to go spend time with family in other countries, but we definitely wanted to rent to get an idea of what part of town we would want to live on. If we, maybe after 6 months we decide, oh dang, we are going into the city way more than we thought we would. Maybe we'll explore that. Maybe new developing areas are happening with like different things that are happening, like the Tren de Maya and things like that, that will help connect the city a little bit more. Maybe we'll decide to buy, you know, 20 miles or 20 minutes outside of the city. So the first year, definitely renting to get a lay of the land and decide what we like, and then we'll go from there if Mexico is long term for us. It may not be. We don't know. We just got there. So why did you move to Mexico? Does the boy also work virtually? Yes, he also works virtually. He does audio engineering, podcast editing, he makes beats, he edits videos. He helps gamers set up their Twitch channels, so he does like the banners, the graphics, and things like that. So he has his own full-time business, and yeah, he's busy and he can do it from anywhere. So we are lucky in that way. Are you buying or renting? We already answered that. Can I come visit? That is for my friend Miranda. Absolutely. We have 4 bedrooms for a reason. Guest rooms. From Auntie J Blige, can you adopt me? Yes, absolutely. We will adopt you, and you don't even have to cook. We can go out when you come. And we already decided what made us move to Mexico, just like the political climate, the race, the way that we feel being Black in America. We just need some time to decompress, and also we're kind of treating it like an early retirement. We both have the privilege of working remotely right now, and we don't want to wait until we're 65 to retire. Like, what if our bodies can't do the same things that they can do now? What if we aren't able to climb and swim and jump and, you know, travel as readily as we can? Then, you know, our future isn't always promised. Our ability isn't always promised. So just having this time to like spend together, to explore, to learn about amazing culture, to learn about a lot of the African American history that lives in Mexico, especially like Guadalajara and outside of Oaxaca with Costa Chica. There's just so much to learn, so much to explore, and we just want to be able to do it now. We don't want to have to wait. It's so backwards to have to work all of your life and then just get, you know, retirement way down the line. You should get to enjoy life as it's happening. So like I said, we're very privileged in that way, but since we do have the privilege, we definitely want to take advantage of it. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. Yeah, no, it looks like I got it all down and in under 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, even though it took me forever just to answer the first question. So I will be leaving here, Austin, in about a week. I have some packages that I'm waiting on for sponsorships that were booked before we even decided if we were going to leave. Our goal was to go for a month, see if we liked it, and then start house hunting. After being there for a week and a half, we decided we loved it and we wanted to start house hunting. So we did. We found our place in 3 days. 3 days. We thought it would take much longer, but it didn't. Everything fell into place for us pretty well. There have been a few challenges with our house, but our landlord is amazing and kind, and she's been so helpful in getting everything worked out for us. But it all happened really quickly. So I had packages coming here for sponsorships because I thought we would be looking like the next month for houses. So once everything gets here, I'll be headed back. We're starting to get furniture made, which will take 4 to 6 weeks, so I'll be in an empty house for quite a while. We already got our stove and fridge delivered to the house. Went to Costco and got the essentials like our dishes and stuff like that, and then we got our bed frame made and our bed from a local place, and then I'm just working on piecing it together now. But yeah, I'm excited to share this adventure with you guys. Thank you as always for being here for all of the wild ways of Edyn. She just thinks of these things and does them, and here we go on this adventure together. So thank you guys so much for watching from the shade tent in my parents' backyard. Until next time, get out there and love life. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys really soon. Love ya. Bye.
When the sky is falling.